and let us all do we can to build a better future. So there's going to be a Justice Democrats 2.0. There's going to be a Justice Democrats 2.0. And you know something, folks? It's getting to the point to where I'm just wondering, does anybody care anymore about the Democratic Party? I mean, really, seriously. Gen Z, don't waste your time going into the Democratic Party. And Cenk and Kyle, you know, both of you big brain geniuses helped contribute to this disaster, because at the end of the day, I know how you two will vote in the 2024 election cycle. You're not going to vote independent. You're not going to vote third party. You're going to tell everyone to vote for the establishment pick. Or dare I say it, if he's still up and kicking about, you're going to tell everyone to vote for Biden because he's better than Trump. But your replacements are standing by. Case in point, Harry Sisson, or however you say his name. I'm Gen Z, and I can't wait to vote for President Joe Biden in 2024. Who's with me? This is the big brain genius who's going to vote for Biden. Or then also we have people like David Hogg, who, again, I don't know if this happened to any of you, but I got a text message supposedly from a group associated with David Hogg telling, hey, we need some money for our campaign. If you got that text message, type 1 for yes, and I'm pissed off that I got that text message. Type 2 for no. Thank goodness I didn't get it. But apparently he's going to say, again, we got to run in the Democratic Party again.
As a generation, we've collectively been told to run, hide, and fight over and over during active shooter drills. And our generation has learned that along with our ABCs. And I think it's time that we repurpose the meaning of that. We need to start running for office. We need to stop hiding from the responsibility that we have to protect future generations. And we need to start fighting for a better future,
Quit taking my line.
People like Ron DeSantis head on in their state legislatures, using the greatest asset that anybody can have in politics, which is time, and the fact that we are going to outlive him and the Supreme Court. But we got to get to work now. That is why I'm launching Leaders We Deserve, an organization dedicated to getting to work on the ground in states like Florida, Texas, Arizona, Georgia, and others to help mobilize our generation, to bring in the Maxwell Frosts of the world, who previously worked in March for Our Lives before becoming the youngest member of Congress, to elect them.
Is that the same Max Frost who also betrayed his constituents? Do all of you remember that? I do.
Give young people hope that our...
Isn't that the same Max Frost who also went into a lot of activist groups and pro-Palestinian groups and abandoned them? Am I wrong about that? Yes or no? Yes or no?
While our political system is broken, it is not unfixable, because we have to get to work now, not only to address the immediate threat that is gun violence, but also to address the long-term threats of climate change, democratic backsliding, the war on LGBT children, and the battle for women's rights as well. So if you can, please donate to Leaders We Deserve by clicking the link above.
Leaders We Deserve, also known as Justice Democrats 2.0. Brilliant.
$5 or $10, anything you can helps. Thank you.
That was so uninspiring. That was so mediocre. That was beyond pathetic. And that's the Bernie Sanders 2.0, or dare I say, not the Bernie Sanders 2.0, but also Justice Democrats 2.0. You know it's going to get support from DSA and all of the vote blue, no matter who's sycophants out there. So, again, when you look at people like that, who, again, make statements that we've heard over and over again, I can't help but think about what it does to you mentally, how it tears you apart, how it breaks you down. Because the thing is, you got to break away from the two-party system. Because I'm willing to bet that this group that he's a part of, is just going to tell everyone to vote Democrat. And voting Democrat or shilling for the Democrats messes with your mind. Shout out to Turncoat Don for this lovely piece of work.
The former Soviet Union and other authoritarian...
By the way, that look on Crystal's face is like, oh, geez, I married this loser. I'm evil. I'm going to hell.
...and dictatorial regimes. We're really talking about other people being dictatorial.
And Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, as bad as Biden is, you guys are significantly worse
and it's not even close. The Democrats are just way better. They're just way better. They're a trillion times better than Republicans.
All right, so there's a lot I have to say in response.
For some reason, why does this old version of Kyle look more alive than this one? Something happened. Something happened, Kyle. Blink twice. Blink twice if you need help.
To this. These kinds of criticisms from this guy, I honestly believe that these people usually overstate how bad Trump is, and they understate how bad Biden is. Well, you're more ideologically in agreement with Biden than you are in agreement with Trump. Well, actually, when it comes to the First Step Act, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to
Kyle, what happened to you, man? What happened to you? Seriously, no. What the hell happened?
pardoning Alice Johnson, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to TPP, Trump's against it, Biden's for it. I agree with Trump on that. I agree more with Trump on North Korea than I agree with Biden. I would need to be convinced that Biden would fight for at least one or two of my top 5 issues. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, ending the wars, and UBI. The people who say Trump is a
stuff we never got from the Biden-Harris administration and stuff that was never pushed for by people like AOC, but don't worry, she's got sunscreen for you guys, or Bernie Sanders, or any of these other quote-unquote progressive leftist groups. Yo, Kyle, when you helped create the Justice Democrats, I understand that now because you admitted it, that you were triggered by Trump beating Hillary in 2016. But look at the aftermath. The Democratic Party is still the same. The only difference is that, oh, you got quote-unquote progressives in Congress who do absolutely nothing. We're still sending $13 billion of military war aid to Ukraine. All the while, the people of Lahaina, Hawaii are suffering. The people of East Palestine, Ohio are suffering. The people of Flint, Michigan are suffering. There are countless cities and small towns all across this country that have been effectively abandoned by our politicians, and things keep on getting progressively worse. Was this all an act, or did somebody cut off your sack?
The fascist, and they think he's like, basically, we can't survive another 4 years of America with him. Yes. The country will survive 4 years with Trump. The country will survive 4 years with Joe Biden. Again, I think they understate how bad Biden is. Why? On so many core issues, he's against us. Me, at least. I can't speak for this guy. Joe Biden pushed for NAFTA. He repeatedly pushed for TPP. He's a supporter of the Iraq war. On all the pivotal issues of his time, he was wrong. So stop overstating how bad Trump is. The country's still going to exist in 4 years. And understating how bad Biden is.
Well, again, the difference. Yeah, of course, I know the animation of all the bruises and cuts and Band-Aids, but seriously, there's such a difference between the two. What happened, man? What the hell happened to you, Kyle? Or dare I say, it probably was all one big good old grift, and he has the audacity to call Jimmy Dore and anyone else that calls out the Democratic establishment a grifter.
Because it's annoying. I just don't agree with the people who are like, he's a fascist, he's a Nazi, the country's not going to exist in 4 years. You're hyperbolic and you're ridiculous.
Oh! You got knocked the fuck out!
But see, even then, too, let's talk about Fat Tony himself, the mastermind of all of this. The head of the mainstream progressive channel TYT tells BBD Podcast he's done trying to help elect more progressive, and he wants to unite with people on the right and center to get things done. So in other words, Cenk, you want to do a forward party, or dare I say it, you want to do no labels?
Look, I've kind of given up on Congress. I tried the inside strategy. I tried to help Bernie.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And Justice Democrats was a failure, and they kicked you out of it.
Democrats, we got 11 folks in Congress now, but they just won't do it. They won't pass any laws that Americans care about. And by the way, the culture wars makes everybody rich. And so the right wing loves the culture wars. The left wing loves the culture wars. The country hates the culture wars, and the country gets nothing because of the culture wars. So what I want to do is ask right wing shows, left wing shows, and every show in the middle, Can we unite on any policy? Because everybody says that the country's divided, hopelessly divided. I know that isn't true. We are hopelessly divided on some issues, race, gender, etc., but we are not divided on economic issues. So
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still going to tell people to vote for Biden. You're going to still tell people to vote Democrat, Cenk. You're still going to tell people to vote blue no matter who. You had the audacity on the same podcast to say that the Democratic primary of 2016, that there was no election fraud, even though TYT did a documentary video, a whole documentary video on what happened in the California primary of 2016, and that there was election fraud taking place.
So maybe this is the best show to come on to ask for this. Maybe this is the worst show. I don't know. You tell me. But paid family leave polls at
No one there cares, Cenk.
84%. 3/4 of Republican voters say, yes, I want moms to have a break after they deliver their children. Okay. So can we push from the outside? Can the right wing and left wing go, yeah, we agree on this. Forget everything else. We hate each other on everything else. But
yeah, that's not going to happen. And plus, when you have people like Kyle who still simp for Marianne Williamson, you get stuff like this. Again, whatever happened to this man? Something happened to him.
There was a New York Times poll that just came out, which is a gold standard poll. She was still at 10% in that poll with a complete media blackout. When she's at 10%, despite a complete media blackout.
10% is not a big number. And by the way, again, folks, the Democratic primary is a waste of time. All right, I'm sorry, but the game is rigged from the start. You want to make a difference, run independent.
It's dark, man. This is dark stuff. The only mainstream media outlet that will have her is Fox News. And understand, the reason why they're okay with having her is simply because they want to bring about what they view as chaos on the Democratic side. They want to use Marianne as a vessel to attack Biden, even if it's from the left, because they don't care. As long as Biden's being attacked, they don't care how you're doing it. They don't care the nature of how you're doing it. They just want to drag Biden down. So they bring her on and they try to get her to play the game where it's like, we only want you to attack Biden. Now, thankfully, Marianne is smart and she's nuanced.
Marianne's smart. Did you not pay attention to that Jimmy Dore interview where he ripped her apart and basically called her a pro-war Democrat, which is what she is? No, she's not. And it's all to promote her book tour. And don't worry, folks. The days of Kyle and Cenk having influence will soon pass. It'll just go to those wannabe Gen Z individuals who are telling people to vote Democrat. Gen Z, listen. The Democratic Party doesn't have a seat for you. Look at what they've done to previous generations. Just because they tell you things you want to hear, just remember, that's what an abuser does in a relationship. So please, anyone that's a vote blue, no matter who Democrat, don't come crying to me when the Democrats once again give you nothing. Be brave, take off your sunglasses, and show me that shiner.
And she's intelligent and she knows the game that they're playing, and she'll go in there and she'll make some points against Biden, of course, but she never goes only against Biden. She always makes sure to go after the hosts themselves, whether it's Sean Hannity or go after Donald Trump and everything that's going on with him, because she doesn't want to play this game where she's just a useful puppet to the right. She's better than that.
No, she's not. She's not at all. And that really says a lot about really the analysis of, well, what anyone that's been promoting Marianne Williamson. Well, it really says a lot about how people have been talking about her, covering her, and so much more. It really says a lot about people who are trying to convince individuals to once again go into the Democratic Party. You don't have a seat at the goddamn table. I have to make this very clear again. You do not have a seat at the goddamn table. Because, again, here's the definition of a good Democrat, right? Again, a good Democrat doesn't challenge the system. A good Democrat just follows orders. A good Democrat will never, ever tell anyone to think for themselves. And Kyle and Cenk and everybody else that's in the vote blue, no matter whose sphere, wants to keep it that way. But just remember, if you're in the Democratic Party, you're pro-war. As is Marianne Williamson.
What do you disagree with?
I'm going to play this video. Sorry about that.
Of what you are saying.
I am not enrolled in your interpretation of exactly what you are saying. I am not. I do.
So what do you disagree with?
I'll tell you the problem I have with it. I do not believe that Ukraine is nothing but a puppet of the United States.
You're adorable.
So we're not going to agree on that one.
So if we stop funding the Ukraine government, the Ukraine government shuts down. Do you know that? Do you know if we stop funding the Ukraine government shuts down, right? We're paying every person in the Ukraine government salary. We're paying their social security. You know that, right? Or maybe you don't.
Let me ask you if you know, because I don't like to be talked to like, do you know? So
I'm asking, do you know that?
Do you know what I know? Listen, I'm not saying that everything is clean between the United States.
I'm asking you, did you know that?
I know that there are all kinds of business dealings.
So you don't know that? You didn't know that?
That there is money being paid to Ukraine.
That we are paying their entire government salary. You didn't know that? And that's how we could force a peace agreement tomorrow, is because we would just take back that money and their government collapse.
You're right.
Okay. Again, when given facts, the vote blue no matter who, people crumble.
You're right.
Okay.
That if we completely withdrew support from Ukraine, the government of Ukraine would collapse. I certainly understand that. The difference you and I have is that you seem to think that would be a great thing. I don't. I don't think the Russians having complete control of Ukraine and getting their way in this situation is good for Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Finland, Sweden, and I do not believe that that means there would be peace in Europe. There would be anything but peace in Europe.
So you're just another pro-war Democrat. You really don't have anything. You're not really against war. You're for this war and all the propaganda that goes along with it, because this was provoked by NATO. There's no point to even have NATO. I mean, this is really disappointing.
And that's the thing. When you vote Democrat, you're in for a world of disappointment. You don't have a seat at the table, and you never will. The Democrats are going to use you as much as they can until you are no longer useful. Why do you think TYT or Secular Talk or all the other people are in a decline? Why do you think people are not as enthusiastic about voting Democrat? Why do you think Trump has such a huge support base? Why do you think 50% of the U.S. population identifies itself as independent? Because the Democratic Party never follows through. AOC has time to promote sunscreen, but boy, what are her thoughts about that $13 billion going to Ukraine? Hey, Congress, what about the people of Lahaina, Hawaii? What about the people of, again, East Palestine, Ohio? What about the people of Flint, Michigan? What about the American people as a whole? Where's our support? Break away from the two-party system, folks. This election cycle is going to intensify. And dare I say it, maybe this might be the year where the independents finally raise up their voices and say no more. Do not be suckered into voting Democrat. And don't be suckered into voting Republican either. It's time for the independents to speak out. Break away from the two-party system. It's your only hope.